亲爱的朋友们，大家晚上好！这里是美国华裔联盟 CAA Action 美国平等联盟 ACE 主办的第3次全国会议，我是本次会议的主持人谢杰。和我们 CAA 前2届的全国会议比，今年这一届会议非常特殊。它特殊在哪里呢？第一，本次会议采用的是网络会议，以公开论坛、观众问答的形式为主打形式，方便全美各地的 CAA 的会员和关注者参与，打破了地域限制，更灵活方便。会议呢是从8月9号开始，每周日晚1次，一直延续到11月3日，是跨越了整个大选的选战时期，更具有时效性。第二点也是最重要的一个特殊性。它这一次会议呢，是正值我们美国大选的关键年份，是价值观和理念强烈碰撞的特殊时刻，是一个决定美国未来走向的拐点。华人何去何从？该如何透过表象理解美国社会各种政治现象的实质，值得我们思考和探讨。CAA 本次会议就是在这个特殊的历史时期，给大家提供一个平台，深入探讨。感谢大家的参与和支持。今天呢，我们请来了2位嘉宾，这2位嘉宾呢是大家如果听到他们的演讲的话，会觉得非常有益于我们对这个社会的理解。第一位这个嘉宾呢是加州49区议员候选人Mr. Burton Brink， 他演讲的主题呢是改变加州，让加州回归安全和美好，保卫社区安全，帮助中小企业不再被政府过度监管和伤害。Mr. Burton Brink is a retired sergeant with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Mr. Burton Brink has dedicated his entire life to public service.And he is running for election to the California State Assembly to represent District 49. Let's welcome Mr. Burton Brink for real change in California.
Hi, thank you. How are you tonight? Thank you for letting me be a part of the organization, the group here in your meeting. And I am here. I'm running as a community member, someone who has been part of this 49th Assembly District.Since 1967. Started my career with the Arcadia Police Department and then went on to the Monterey Park Police Department and was there until I went to the Sheriff's Department. And then at the Sheriff's Department, I worked at a Temple City Sheriff's Station for over 18 years in this district. And of course, that station covers the majority of the 49th Assembly District. So I've been part of this district as it has grown and changed.And it's very important to me that we have the true representation in Sacramento. And I do not believe that Ed Chow has been representing our district the way he should be. I think he has forgotten about the community. And that is one of the many reasons I'm running. If you have any questions, or do you want me to just go ahead and go with other things to say?
I think you can go ahead. And if the audience has any questions, they will...write in the chat and we will bring the question to you, then you can answer. How about that?
Perfect. So Ed Chow, he has continually voted to raise our taxes every opportunity he has. I am against all these extra taxes that has been happening to us in our district. He has voted for Prop 47 and 57, which is part of the criminal acts that has let everybody out of jail, and is basically, if you are a small business owner and are having things stolen out of your store, the criminals can come into your store over and over again and steal just under $950 worth of stuff as often as they want, and nothing basically will happen to them other than a slap on the wrist, a ticket to go to court, and you will continue to be victimized by these criminals.And bringing in Proposition 47 and Proposition 57, which released additional criminals out from jail, and stopped what they consider nonviolent crimes. And I'll give you some examples of nonviolent crimes, being assault with a deadly weapon, battery to create serious bodily injury, solicitation to commit murder. Domestic violence is considered a non-violent crime. Inflict injury upon a child, first-degree burglary, rape of an unconscious woman, human trafficking of a minor are all considered non-violent crimes. Hate crimes, arson, assault on a deadly weapon of a police officer is also considered a non-violent crime. Participation in a street gang and building a bomb. These are all non-violent crimes. So those people who were guilty of those crimes were let right back out of jail and out to do whatever they want to do again. Proposition 20, which is on our ballot here in November of the same election with me and President Trump, is supposed to fix some of those loopholes from Proposition 47 and 57. So if I can help direct your membership into voting yes on Proposition 20, that would be great and help close in some of these loopholes to keep us safer in our communities from these career criminals that continue to commit crimes over and over again. It goes along with that proposition no on 16 to stop our racial profiling and discrimination for schools and jobs. So I am only yes on Prop 20 and yes on Prop 22, which has taken away parts of our AB5. AB5, which is independent contractors, that is the state decided just before this pandemic hit that they wanted to get rid of well over 1 million jobs from independent contractors, Lyft drivers, makeup artists, hairstylists, those type of things, to make them become part of a union. So a yes on 22 will help at least a few of those things until I can get in office and help the other assembly people that are trying to get this repealed, because AB5 is a job killer for many independent contractors. Every other proposition on the ballot is a no, because somehow, some way, it's going to raise our taxes or it's going to hurt our Proposition 13 protections. And I'm, again, against making sure we do not have to pay any higher taxes than what we're already paying. Yet Ed Chow continuously votes over and over again to raise taxes on all of us in our district, and that's dangerous in and of itself. We are all, especially because of the pandemic, have lost a lot of money. Our businesses have lost money. A lot of people are not getting any income, and that's kind of what the Democrats are trying to pull into all of us here and basically make us all reliant on the government, and we shouldn't be reliant. Many of us came to this country. I mean, I'm third generation here, but you know, I know my she's now my ex-wife, but the mother of my child, who's part Chinese, her family came to this country to get away from communism and socialism and all that sort of thing, and we wanted to have our freedoms, and they wanted to have their freedoms, and now the government is taking that away, and that's what we need to stop. And that's one of the many, many reasons I'm running, is to make sure that we can stop what's happening out of Sacramento, to make sure that we have our freedoms. We're able to go out to our businesses. We're able to go shopping. We're able to have our freedoms. Yes, the pandemic is bad, but I don't see it any worse than the bird flu or the Spanish flu or any of the other flus that have been epidemics. But we've never shut down our country for them, and we shut down our country for this, and it's destroying the country and destroying our businesses. I've had a number of friends who have small businesses that have basically, at this point, it's been 6 months, and they've now had to shutter their doors because they have no money any longer to be able to do their jobs. And so that is the backbone of America, is our small businesses. And I know there are many in the Chinese community that have businesses. That's what they've come to this country for, is to build their businesses and thrive and be free and come and go as they please when it comes down to their businesses. And now look at them, they're either having to close their businesses, or they're just down to very, very minimal staff and not housing the people that they had. So it's actually hurting our state, it's hurting our country, it's hurting us as a community in general. And those are things that we need to fix, and we need to fix as soon as possible. Ed Chow has voted against the community in so many different things. He's voted yes to do the mail-in ballots. We all know that there is some type of things that are going on with our ballots. The way I look at it, my kids, they actually do mail-in ballots, but I take their ballots and drop them off at the registrar's drop boxes at City Hall. Most city halls in our district have these drop boxes by the registrar's office. So that way it keeps it out of the post office's hands. And the reason I'm saying that is the post office, if the post office is using it or looking at it or going through it, they have to sort all the mail. It is going through so many different hands before it gets to the registrar's office. Whereas an employee of the registrar's office picks up from the drop boxes at City Hall or the ballot boxes that are dropped off when they in polling ballots, and it goes straight to the registrar's office instead of 3 or 4 different post offices before it gets there. These ballots are supposed to be secret ballots. Your name is on it. It'll have an R or a D or an I or whatever on it for indicating Democrat, Independent, Republican. Therefore, that's not secret. All you have to do is look at the envelope and say, oh, that's a Republican, let's throw that out. Or that's a Democrat, let's throw that out. Or that's an Independent, let's throw that out. That's part of the problem with that. And that way, if it's in the registrar's control, at least when they're being opened in the registrar's office, there are people that are watching them being opened, and therefore they're more secure that way. So that is one of those things that I make sure that people understand. Since we're having the mail-in ballots, that's something we definitely have to make sure that we have control of. And if you give it to somebody or you yourself take it to a ballot drop-off location and make sure that your vote does get counted. You can track them online. There's a way to track it online to make sure that it got down to the registrar's office, and at least you know they've received it. So that's very, very important for us. We have Ed Chow, who has gone against our Second Amendment rights. Obviously, during the pandemic, I know people were scared of what could happen. They wanted to be able to protect their homes and go out and be able to purchase a weapon. I know there was long lines at many, many gun stores. But Ed Chow wants to restrict that restriction. And we shouldn't have any restrictions on our rights here in America. And that's very, very important. For me, it's very, very important. Even as a law enforcement officer, you know, everybody thinks cops don't want people to have their weapons or anything. That's not true. We know that the law-abiding citizens who have weapons are going to be able to take care of themselves because the cops can't be there in 10 seconds when something's happening. You are going to be the first line of defense to protect your family, and you should be able to do that with a weapon. And Ed Chow wants to take that right away from you. We have other bills against police using facial recognition cameras. Ed Chow actually wrote this bill, and even though he praised law enforcement of using facial recognition to help find pedophiles that are using children as sex slaves and that type of thing through facial recognition, because that's what they were able to do when they were online and using the facial recognition, found out that these children were kidnapped, missing children, what have you, and ended up being sex slaves. Facial recognition cameras helped solve a lot of those crimes. Ed Chow made it where this bill would prevent that from happening, and that will now make it even harder for us in law enforcement to help keep our kids safe. So that's something else that's really important to understand. Ed Chow voted yes to say it's okay to have a felon sit in a jury box next to you when you're doing your jury duty. As you know, that's one of the rights or responsibilities we have as being citizens, is to do jury duty. As a matter of fact, I'm on call for jury right now this coming week. So I've had to check to see if I'm actually going to be in jury duty on Tuesday or not. So the last thing I want to have sitting next to me is a career felon sitting next to me who's been in jail for murder, determining what's going to happen to somebody who is being tried on a trial, or you know, trying to kill somebody. he's going to be sympathetic to another criminal, and that's going to really hurt our justice system in making sure that we have people that are being tried with a fair amount of people without having somebody who is a career criminal is like, oh yeah, hey, that's my homeboy, I'm going to take care of them. So, you know, that's something that we need to look at as well. Hearing a lot of noise here, sorry. Anyway, with all my time in law enforcement, you know, I've done everything. You know, I've worked in the city of Rosemead, I've worked in the city of Temple City, I've worked in the city of Arcadia, I've worked in the city of Monterey Park, I've worked in the city of San Gabriel, I've worked in El Monte. These are all districts in the 49th Assembly District. I've seen the changes. As I said, my son is part Chinese. I've been part of this community the entire time. What hurts me the most is when I'm told that there's other Chinese politicians that are saying that Burton Brink doesn't understand the Chinese culture. They have no idea I have a son who's Chinese. So, you know, it kind of hurts me on that aspect, but I've always been here to protect our community. I've never looked at race in any other way other than the human race. I don't care if you're Hispanic. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're Asian. We're all part of the community. We're all part of making sure that we, as community members, are safe. We have our freedoms. We can go out and do things that we want to do and not be restricted by government in doing what we're doing. That is, to me, one of the most important things. That's why I'm running, and I'm really hoping to have everybody's support here to unseat Ed Chow and actually give you a voice in Sacramento, because I'm going to stand up for us. My family's here, my kids are growing up here and have grown up here, and what happens in Sacramento now happens to our future and the future of our children. And I want to make sure there's something here in California and in our community that's still someplace that everybody would like to be. That's what I have so far. If you have any questions or anything, that would be, I'd be more than happy to answer any of them.
Thank you, Mr. Brink. Yeah.
Yeah, let me ask you, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
You know, today, you know, my daughter actually, she's in Berkeley and Alameda, you know, that location. And she just told me that, you know, yesterday and today. And, you know, it sounds like the state government, they shut down in some places the electricities. So can you make some comment, you know, if you got elected, what are you going to do to address those kind of issues? You know, now in the modern day and in the United States, the most powerful country in this planet, right? How come, you know, we can shut down the electricity, and when in the hottest day of the
we shouldn't be shutting down electricity. I think there's 11,000 people that are without electricity right now in LA because of this. The government starts to do over regulations on our utilities, which causes them to like shut things down so they can get things done the way they want to do. Government needs to stop controlling every aspect of our life, controlling our ability to go out and do our businesses like we have with the shutdown from the pandemic, to shutting off our electricity. I would do everything I can to make sure that the government doesn't have the power to shut off the electricity. If you're paying your bill, there should be no reason you shouldn't have electricity. We're not Venezuela. We're not some third world country. California is supposed to be one of the richest states in the union and in the world, what, 5th largest in the world, I believe. And how can we have shut down power? It's absolutely asinine to me. It makes no sense. And again, I think it's all part of government's control. And I will expose anything that's showing that the government's trying to control electric companies, gas companies, and those type of things. because that's not what the government is here for. And I believe in less government, not more government. And the problem is the people that are in power right now want more and more government control and more government, and I want less. So I will be pushing very hard to make sure that that stops. I'm going to make sure that we audit everything that the government has their finger on, like DMV and the EDD and Caltrans and all these other companies that are under the direct control of the state of California. And these companies all need to be audited and find out what's going on with the money, because they are spending money like there's no tomorrow. Like it's the endless ATM of money coming out of the state of California. And that's why they turn around and continue to raise taxes on us constantly. And that's something that we need to stop immediately. So that's what I will be working on, is to stop the government trying to control our utilities like that.
Okay, another question actually I have. Sorry, I have two questions.
That's fine.
You know, that's in the past few years and this year, you know, the wildfire in California all over the place.
Yep.
As the elected officials, so what's your solution to this?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question. So I currently have a brush fire that's less than 4 miles from my house right now, burning behind me here. Here's the problem. We used to have forest management where they would thin out the forests of the dead trees that were falling on the ground and that type of thing. And they stopped that about 20 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that. And when they stopped doing that forest management, you've noticed that they've now calling these forest fires firestorms. Called firestorms because they have so much fuel on the ground because they haven't been thinned out, they haven't been removed, and that's how you're getting this explosions of fire, forest fires, brush fires, whatever you want to call them, and they just take off. And that's how you're getting this devastation, that devastated Paradise, California, that has devastated Santa Clarita with a lot of their areas. I have actually a relative who lives up in Santa Clarita who lost his house because of these firestorms. So I would make sure that we have forest management that's doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. That's one of the things that we should be spending money on, thinning out our forests so they don't have all this fuel sitting at the bottom of the forest. Takes one little match and in seconds engulfs the entire side of a mountain. So we need to get rid of the dead forests, dead trees, the debris that's underneath, so that if there is a fire that gets started, it's not growing as fast as they do with these firestorms because of mismanagement and the cleaning of our forests. And that can be done by actually the prisoners that are in jail that do fire camps. Instead of fighting fires because of all these firestorms, they can be used to actually help the Forest Service thin out our forests. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has a fire camp with its inmates that is done out of Castaic. And, you know, all you have to do is do that throughout the state of California, and in a couple of years, we can get rid of these firestorms we're having, and they wouldn't be so devastating.
All right, yeah, thank you for the answer. Anyone else have questions? You know, I don't want to ask all the questions, right?
Well, I saw a question pop up in the chat just now. I know there's a couple of others I hadn't looked, but this one mentioned illegal immigration coming across the border. So illegal immigration, when somebody says illegal immigration, they are only thinking illegal immigration when it comes down to Hispanic or Mexican descent. And we have illegal immigration that comes from obviously all countries throughout the world. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department actually held these immigration detainees for ICE many years ago. I'm talking 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And they had, you know, from Canada, Germany, Australia, you know, pick a country and that's where they're from. So how do we stop the illegal immigration from the border? Well, President Trump's been trying to do that. He's been trying to secure our border. Everybody knows that the weakest link into the into the United States is through the Mexican border. So it doesn't matter what country you are from, they are coming up out of Mexico through illegal immigration. Nobody here has a problem with legal immigration. 99.9% of the people here have come from legal immigration. But what we have to do is we have to prevent people who are coming from other countries who do not have the proper documentation to come across. We do need to make it easier for people to get their immigration status so they can come across. I know that it takes years. I don't understand why it takes that long. That's something under the federal level. I'm looking at state level because that's where I'm running, is in state issues. But we do need to secure our borders. We need to make it easier for people who want to come to our country to come through it legally. And we have to secure our border. I do have a stepson that is a Border Patrol agent, and he tells me that it's, you know, everybody thinks it's Hispanics and Mexicans that are coming across the border, and he's got every nationality in the world that comes across the border, and he's out of Arizona. So we really have to make sure we secure our border, because that's how you're going to make sure that you keep America working the right way, and making sure that the right people are in our country, because we don't want criminals coming up. And there's a lot of people that are coming up that are illegal immigrants that are coming up from the border. I'll give you one example. I have a friend that was murdered in the line of duty. His name was David March, and he was killed in the city of Irwindale, which is right on the border of Arcadia, Monrovia, and Irwindale, all together at an intersection there. And he was murdered by a 4-time convicted drug dealer, and he was murdered. He was basically executed on the side of the street because he kept coming across the border. So we have plenty of criminals that come across the border illegally, and we need to stop that. So that's where I'm at with this illegal immigration, and I hope that answered the question of the person who asked that. My stance on Prop 16, I just saw that pop up on my thing. I'm a no on 16. I actually spoke at one of the rallies that was here at Arcadia County Park about a month ago. Very proud and honored to speak for no on 16. We do not need to go backwards on our on racial profiling. It's just ridiculous to me that we're going back to 1995. We got rid of that. Let's make everybody equal. Nobody should be any better than anybody else.
Then, you know, how we can help the underrepresented communities, the ethnic groups, how we can address those issues, the issue with inequality.
I missed the issue in the community with what?
You know, there are communities and there are ethnic groups that they are underrepresented, right? They're not, you know, they're inequality. How we address those issues?
Well, you have to have a dialogue with the people that are representing you. I have always been an open door, open book person. You could send me an email, call me, you know, anything like that. If I'm unable to get the call, I get a voicemail, a text message, whatever. We have to make sure that the people that are representing us actually are listening to us. And you know, with me, when I'm elected into office, you are not going to get a form letter from me. You're going to get a letter that's specifically going to answer your question and will be signed by me. I don't believe in these form letters. I don't believe in people that are just giving you that canned answer. I got a nice canned answer from Ed Chow right here on an issue that I spoke about. You know, that to me, you know, when I read his letter, disgusted me. It's like, really? I'm one of your constituents and you send me a canned letter with a response that didn't answer my question? That's the problem. So the people that feel that they're underrepresented, you need to make sure that you contact your local person who represents you and make sure your voice is heard. If you don't speak the language or it's hard for you to get in and get somebody to do that, all these people that are representing you should have on staff some type of interpreter so that you can have a conversation with the person representing you. So I hope that answered your question. I think I understood you correctly, that was the problem, that people don't know how to do that.
Okay, yeah, thank you for answering the question. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? From Andy, there are one new question. People should.
It's not a real question. It's my point of view. I don't even think people should be measured, based on their race or ethnicity.
Totally agree with you,
Should
Andy.
be represented based on their merits. It doesn't matter what their race or ethnicity is.
Absolutely correct.
We have this narrative, disadvantaged, underrepresented. They're underrepresented, underprivileged people within every ethnicity, within every race. They're poor white people, they're rich black people.
Right. Right.
We shouldn't fall for that kind of narrative.
I totally agree with you. That's how I was brought up. I like I had mentioned earlier, I was not brought up to see color or anything else.
Right.
I married a Chinese woman. That should be something that's huge right there. But for whatever reason, it is being put upon us that there's a certain race that's stronger than somebody else or is better than somebody else, and that's absolutely a false narrative. It's what you put into in doing what you are doing, and you have the destiny of making what you want out of this life, and that was what was taught to me, and that's what I did. And I didn't need to run for office. I've served my time. I've got my injuries. I've almost died in the line of duty, and I can go out and enjoy my retirement and go travel the country and everything. But it was so important to me to make sure that our community was represented, because I didn't think it is being represented properly, that I stepped up to run for office to make sure that every single person in this community has a voice. And it didn't matter if they were Asian, it didn't matter if they're white, doesn't matter if they're black or Hispanic or anything. I want to make sure that our voices are heard and your voices are heard.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the answer.
One of the reasons we end up getting like California Prop 16 is people are so obsessed with race. If you stop talking about this, it appears to me for those people, everything the root cause is race. That can't be the case, right?
Yep, correct.
Yeah, to be honest, my opinion on this Prop 16 is, that's Prop 16. It's not going to help. It's not going to helping those people who need help.
Right.
Actually, it's going down because they try to, to let those students who are not qualified to go to university That's going to waste their time. Basically, the California, what they should do is, to work on the basic education, to make sure those people who want to go to college, they can be qualified. They have the basic foundation in terms of learning the knowledge.
Yeah, yep. Because the people that are trying to get into college, they're working very hard to do so. And if all you're doing is buying your way into college, that's the wrong direction to go. It's got to be done, like you said, on your merits. You got to work hard to get what you're getting. And if you're working hard and you're getting a good education and you get onto your college and into your universities, those are the people that should be looked at. And it shouldn't be looked at, what nationality they are.
Yes.
Absolutely. Sending unqualified students to college is a robbery to the qualified candidates.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct.
Yeah, because learning is not just to go to college. It's not just to get a college degree. Because college degree means nothing if you don't learn the knowledge.
Right. You got to have that working knowledge, and buying your way in there just because of race is not going to work.
Yeah, we're attending the college is try to acquire the knowledge and the ability for the future competitions, right? I mean, if you don't have the knowledge, you're not going to acquire the ability, the abilities to be competitive in the job market, in the business, in anywhere else. So, okay, any other questions from the audience? Okay, all right. Xie, I go back to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brink.
Thank you guys so much. If you want to know anything further about me, my website is www.burtonbrink, BURTONBRINK.com. And you can make a donation to my website. You can contact me through the website if you have a question, if you want to volunteer, help us out in any way. It's really imperative. The only way we're going to win this election is through people like you that are telling your friends in the area that this is the person who's going to represent us. This is the person who's truly going to be our voice in Sacramento and will stand up and not just be a political paid puppet. Sorry to say that Ed Chow is. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm here for you guys to make sure that we are all represented in Sacramento.
All right, thank you.
We'll get your message out. Thank you.
Thank you. Best wishes to your election. We hope we will, we hope you will win, and we will pass your message to the community, and then hopefully more people will notice the change.
Okay, go ahead.
我非常高兴啊 ，Mr. Brink 可以给我们带来如此信息量大的一个 topic， 可能很多 topic 正好是明显的就是打到了我们的华人所关心的重要的一些议题上面，比如说 Prop 16。
Yeah, Celia, I think there are one more question. This one person, they said that there are protests in Chino Hills, California on September 19. Mr. Brink, they are asking if you can come.
What kind of protest is that? Chino Hills is out of my district here. What kind of protest is that?
Who is this iPhone? There are so many iPhones. I'm not sure who's asking the question.
Oh, okay. Probably it's a car protest regarding Prop 16. Is that right?
It's a no on 16 event?
Yes.
There are several car protests for Prop 16 going on in California.
Right, the car rallies. That was like I spoke to in Arcadia.
That person probably tried to invite you for that rally.
Prop 16 car rally. If you send me the information, I'll do everything I can to get there.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Celia, back to you.
Okay. 那我们刚才正好讲到了我们华人很关心的一些议题，比如说加州的 Prop 16，最近有很多政治现象都是跟华人，跟我们的教育权，跟我们的这个 identity politics 有关。